Hey everybody, I started too soon again, so now I'll start again. Welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay, and I am with
Harmony.
And a while back I came up with, I sort of have been writing on Quora for a while, trying to answer some people's questions in a nice positive way and trying to help out when I can when I see some questions. And one topic came up that was like, what's a good life or something to that effect. And I came up with a little thesis here, I guess. I think there are only two things that matter for overall well-being: a good life. I put health and happiness. As a consequence, all the other things will get better: a job, relationships, stress, finances, etc. So first of all, what do you think about my thesis of health and happiness kind of encompassing most things?
Yes. Actually, I have written up on a chalkboard in our house right now. It says work in and everything will work out.
Ooh, I like that.
And so health and happiness are inner experiences and inner responsibilities. And then, like you said, it's like you manage those things and then they impact everything else. So work in and everything will work out.
I love that. Okay, so here are my top 20 suggestions for health and happiness, and Harmony's going to critique these or add to them, or we'll see what happens. Okay, so my first of my top 20 is, I put, since perfection is impossible, I like to follow what I've named the mostly principle. It takes a lot of pressure off, and that is to mostly be good, to mostly eat right, to mostly be smart with my money, to mostly try and be happy, to do more good than harm. Sorry. And in the end, this means basically being a decent person, which I think is the ideal. What do you think about the mostly principle?
I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was sitting with a friend a couple months ago, and I'd been vegetarian for 20 years.
Wow.
And it was starting to, and I also didn't buy leather, and I was having inner conflict about ants in our bathroom because I didn't want to kill them. They've lived with us for a year and a half. So it's like living in this way aligned with values and kindness and respect for all life that was starting to, in some ways, not feel good for a variety of reasons. And she said to me, God wants us to be excellent, not perfect. And it was like taking handcuffs off.
That's pretty nice.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can be excellent. And so I made an intention with her to start doing some things that were outside of my what I do and what I don't do, what I can, what I can't do. And so it feels like that mostly.
Yeah, I think where I came to it for myself is similar. I just didn't want to keep beating myself up for being human. You know what I mean? And I was like, I feel like I'm doing pretty good here. And so tempering it with like some sort of realism, listen, I think the Jains have done a lot of good. I think their way of thinking is terrific, but it's very hard to do. So anyways, okay. Yeah. So number 2 of the top 20, I said, I've come up with just 2 questions to ask yourself when deciding or doing something meaningful. And these are the 2 questions. Is it harmful or is it helpful? What do you think about that one? 2 questions to ask yourself when deciding to do something meaningful.
To do something meaningful?
Yeah. Like if I'm going to do anything meaningful, I just should ask myself, is it harmful, is it helpful? And then that could be my beacon.
I can't help but go, what do you mean by meaningful?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that's definition of meaningful could be, I guess I suppose I was thinking like something big, not like where am I going to eat breakfast? Something bigger than that, I guess.
Like what?
Maybe changing a job, maybe evaluating a relationship, maybe things like that.
Okay. Well, if that's what you're using as meaningful, then yes, I think it would be wise to ask helpful or harmful. But I also go, to whom? Because it's not.
Oh, this means self.
Oh yeah, I think you can't.
Or no, overall. No, sorry, it does mean overall, because like if I was, because I wouldn't want to hurt somebody else either. So yeah, is it helpful or harmful overall?
Yeah.
I get your point. There's a lot of nuance there.
And then even that, because I go, it could be hurtful or harmful to you and helpful to me, and then how do I figure that out. Like,
Yeah,
you
is that
know,
an
anyway.
80-20 rule or a
I don't know,
51-49?
but that's what
a
I'm
good point.
saying. That's a.
Okay, so I love it, but it needs to be a little more clear. Like, what's the gauge on that? Yeah, that's tough.
And what does meaningful mean? Because it's like,
Yeah.
you said, well, it's not like deciding what's for breakfast, and it's like, but if you really savor and value life, you go it's all meaningful. Sitting here with you is meaningful. Sitting
Right.
down to a food is meaningful. Like, so also, that's why I
Right.
was like, what do you mean meaningful? What is? I
That's
don't
true.
know,
And
so-
even if I change the word to impactful, that still wouldn't help it very much, would it?
Yeah.
Not really. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I like that. Okay, my number 3. And by the way, this is good because then I can make these even better. So, number 3, I put accept that negativity is natural. Being afraid of things is what helped our species to survive this long. Animals that want to eat us, a warring tribe that might want to kill us, bad weather, etc. So those inner monologues are just primal ancestral remnants of worry we have to deal with. Be wary of news, or the news. It is sensationalized and fine-tuned to appeal to our fear instinct. But the world is actually getting better. And then I put, see Steven Pinker's book, Enlightenment Now. The facts are there. So, what do you
Okay.
think about that? Accepting negativity as natural.
What do you mean by negativity? Like
Oh,
in survival?
like,
Because
yeah.
what's negative? Like, if I see a snake and I go, oh, let's go that way, I don't see it as negative. I just go, that's a decision to.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
I'll give you a
okay,
real
right,
good example.
right.
Okay, so I loved my little doggies that I had,
Okay.
right? And I used to love giving them a walk. Love
Okay.
it, right?
Yes.
What sometimes would happen, more often than not actually, is I'd start walking them and I'd be in bliss, like for a minute.
Okay.
And then it would enter into my head like, gosh, it's too bad not all dogs are getting walked like this. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's any strays in this neighborhood. And I'm like,
Okay.
well, probably there's strays in this neighborhood. If there's not strays here, certainly there's strays in
Okay.
the surrounding town here.
Okay.
And then I'm like, oh gosh, I wonder how many strays there are worldwide. Oh, how many are starving right now? And then I can actually start to get imagery
Okay.
of this.
Sure.
So this negativity is coming in. That's what I'm talking about. It's sort of just a negative thing.
Situations in which beings are suffering.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely negative, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I just go, well, I think that is natural. Yes.
Great? No. I feel like it's like almost like this remnant that's like they talk about this a lot with people that retain a lot of like fat, like from like eating, that's a remnant of our earlier selves when you might not get food for a while,
Right.
so we had to store a lot of
Right.
calories for like
Yes.
future. Well, now we have supermarkets on every corner,
Right.
so it's not really that so necessary. I sort of actually posit that this negativity is not as there's not a warring tribe next door. There's not an animal trying to eat
Right.
me in the wild right now. I live in a
Yeah,
house.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
think there's
Anyway.
a difference between you going down this rabbit hole of maybe there's stray dogs in the area, maybe there's more, maybe there's in the world, how many are suffering. That negativity is a train of thinking
Mhm.
that is unnecessary, and you're like, you're creating your own inner chaos. Where I go, that's not natural or necessary. Like, or
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
you're programmed to do that, and you can reprogram yourself to go, oh, I'm going to catch myself and stay.
Yeah.
I'm either going to go do something about the problem that I'm stressing about, or I'm not going to let myself sit here and feel miserable, because that doesn't help anyone. That just diminishes you and doesn't help the stray dogs.
No, I like that. I agree. There is
But
definitely.
then I also go, yeah, there's negativity. There are things that feel
Yep.
sad and harmful and suffering.
Well, I definitely agree that with the neuroplasticity,
Yes.
like we can argument for sure.
Yeah.
I've lived it, so I
Yeah.
know that that's
Yeah.
true. But also, it's like I think I was putting it out there to let people know that negative thoughts will come into your mind. It's not weird. It happens. It's part of the human condition, and you don't have to necessarily be troubled or controlled by it. That's
Okay.
probably a better way that I could have said that.
Okay.
So see, we just improved it.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, I put, these are top 20 suggestions for health and happiness. I put the inevitability of loss. I've had some big losses in my life, and I tend to stay emotionally wounded for a long time. I've come to understand that a true loss, true love can never be replaced. It's always there, but there is always room for more. Changing replace to more room really helped. And it's true both sadly and gratefully about time healing all wounds. I also think regret is something we need to accept as part of the human experience because people seem to have that too. At some point, regret is likely whatever we've chosen not. Oh, this is another thing I put. At some point, regret is likely for whatever we've chosen not to do. And since we cannot have it all, there will always be regret. Like, where I came up with that idea with the regret thing is like, I've visited, unfortunately, too many people in hospice or in, final situations, and inevitably they'll regret something, right? I wish I would have spent more time with my family, or I spent too much time with my family. I wish I would have traveled more, or whatever it is they didn't do happens to be their regret almost without fail. And so I just think that's part of the human condition too. What do you think about that?
Part of the human condition? Oh my gosh.
You can disagree completely.
I don't disagree. What comes up for me when you say that is I only know my own experience. And so to say what the human condition is feels like, how could I possibly, unless I've sat with people and then also known that they were being forthright and not just saying what felt culturally or what felt, I don't know. So
that's
there's
a
so
good
much.
point. No, that's a great point, and actually a ridiculously perfect segue to number 5.
And then before you
Yeah,
go
go
to
ahead.
5
Yeah.
too, I also go, I wonder how cultural it is. I wonder if
Oh, no
you
doubt.
sat next to people in other countries, would more of them not have regrets? Would they, are there people living going, I'm grateful for where I am and what I experienced and who and what, and
Yeah,
just
maybe
go,
there
no,
may. You're right. There may
like-
be a culture that doesn't have a word for regret. It's definitely possible.
Yeah. So,
No, that's a good point.
yeah.
So, again, to your perfect segue, I put number 5, other people's shoes. It's impossible to do this perfectly, but it's worth trying. Long story short, we have no idea about another person's background, what they're going through, what their internal chemicals and hormones may be doing. So basically try and cut people a break as long as they're not being too harmful to others. Everyone is just trying to survive to the next day. What do you think about that one?
I think yes, except for the last one feels pretty dramatic of trying to survive to the next day.
Well, that's true. Some people are super happy and looking forward to the next day.
Or thriving, or
True.
I don't know that everyone's in a survival mode, but
True. I was
But
just
yes,
yeah.
I think definitely cut people
Yeah.
on break. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Number 6, I put understanding. Many people, except for the core audience, maybe I put in parentheses, don't care to really understand. Most people only want reassurance and reaffirmation, which also has its place. Most people tend to talk more than listen. Myself included, sigh. Example, this is a personal example. I had to lay someone off one time, and I carefully went through the business case. I mean, I must have stayed up, till 2, 3 in the morning, writing this thing, figuring out, but I went through the business case with them, talked about their continued non-performance, even lined up new interviews and jobs for them, wishing them well, and they were still mad and said, I can't believe you fired me. Like, that was the end of it. They did not care that I went through 5 days of torment trying to like, couldn't you just tell me I was fired? Like, that's all they really wanted to know. And so my whole point about understanding is I think a whole lot of people don't really care to understand. They just want to know what the deal is. What do you have any thoughts on that?
It feels like the same as the last one.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm doing a lot of projecting, it sounds like.
I just am not inside anyone's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. No, this is good fodder. I like it. Okay, so number 7.
The other thing I'd
Yeah.
say to that too is like, even let's just say that was right and most people don't care to understand, then I would right away go, but why? Because then it's like, how were they raised? Like, what created that condition or that programming? So it's like, I don't think it's just like an inherently human thing to go, I don't care the work you put into this and the reason why, and that you set up these other interviews and were so thoughtful, and what about this? Just tell me that my job's over. I just go, I don't know. I don't think that that's just automatically what a human being would do. It's like, what's all their programming that's what they need to know at the moment, or that's their focus, or that's their current perspective.
No, that makes sense. And you also gave a good little shout out for this whole channel because you said the why. And that's what this is really about, is I'm really trying to figure out the why in everything. Like why?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Number 7, I put listening. We males, I'm stereotyping, but always try to solve problems versus just hearing someone out. And yet we don't like it when it's done to us. That's a fun thing. It's a superpower to just be there for someone and really listen without trying to jump in. I have much work to do here. What do you think about that?
How much work you have to do?
No, just in general, listening.
Why can't I comment on how much work you have?
Well,
to
you
do?
can do that. Go ahead.
Just kidding.
Because I'll run out of tape.
Tape.
Or recording, whatever this is.
Listening is important, and it's something that can be developed.
Yeah.
I could go on for all these. The brain can process at about 800 words a minute, and I don't mean spoken words. So it's also internally like our words. On average,
It's a lot.
5 to 800. Let's even just take it down to 5.
500 or 5?
500.
Oh,
500.
I was saying mine's like 5.
500. No. And we speak at about 130 to 160 words per minute is
Okay.
average. So that means when you're listening to me, because of the rate I'm speaking, your processor only needs 160, whatever, like you can process 160, but your processor has all this other room, 300 and some extra processing.
At a minimum.
So it's why you can listen to me and also think, I wonder if my, whatever.
Inner monologue comes in and I got
Just-
2 conversations
yeah,
going
like
simultaneous.
And so I think that it's in knowing that, I think it's so helpful to know that, because then I go, okay, if I know that I have all this vacant processor and I really want to listen, how can I better hone in on and like better improve I've been working on it. I actively work on it. How can I improve my listening? Sometimes I repeat what someone's saying in my head, or like close my eyes to take out sensory, because even if I have my
that's good.
eyes open and a bird flies by here and you're talking to me,
The bird has captured attention.
oh, there was a hummingbird earlier. It's gone. But it's like, but that's gonna come in anyway. So I feel like it's something to develop.
I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's wise. I think that is. Yeah, I like the way you broke that down, almost like the
And
way
then
it is scientific.
and I think people like to be heard, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Just listen.
I will say this though, I have noticed this, and again, I'm not trying to stereotype too much, but I have noticed this a lot in men, where the ladies trying to talk, and the impulse is to instantly, like, oh, I've got this. Here's the solution to that problem, and yet, if we do that, and they jump in, like we're like, what are you doing? Like it's not. It's kind of a. Anyway, it just seems like there's a. I don't know, a little hypocritical there of us guys.
This feels risky to say, but I also, so you can cut it out if you're like, no, we're not doing that. But like even the idea of stereotypes, like I go, they get created. Like they're it's not like a room of people sit around and be like, all right, let's build the stereotype that men interrupt and aren't good listeners. It's like it happens, and then it's a stereotype. Like and it doesn't mean it's a hard fact for every person, but you go, why is it that blondes are considered less intelligent? Like what happened? A group of people just didn't decide to do that. There must have been things happening. People with the blonde colored hair, that there's like, oh, there's an association with this gender and this behavior, and this gender and this behavior, and again this gender and this behavior, and this gender and behavior, and then we go, oh, that's a stereotype. And so when you go, I don't mean to stereotype, like part of me goes, well, why not? Like,
oh, I think stereotypes matter, and they're also, you're right, I shouldn't say it, because they're part of, again, I say they're part of the human condition, and they make sense. As an example, like if you have, if you've seen the Nazi swastika, and we know what the symbolism behind that means, and you're walking down the street and you were to see someone wearing that, you would instantly draw a stereotype or a conclusion without knowing that person. And that's just our warning system, like trying to take in data and producing results. So I agree with you, I think, right?
Well, yeah, but that's warning feels protection and like survival versus like
Oh,
a
I see.
man not listening or interrupting or trying to fix feels
seems
like,
pretty
well, that's
harmful.
not. Yeah, I mean, it feels that's a pretty radical example. You can cut all this out.
No,
Okay.
No, it's good.
All right.
Okay, number 8.
Okay.
This one, well, I'll be interested to hear your take on this one, but I put every act is a selfish act. Once you understand this, it helps put things in perspective, which is why win-win situations are always the best. Everyone has an inherent bias. When you combine that bias with the onslaught of information and algorithms, it becomes easier to see another's point of view, however flawed.
Every act
Is
is
a
a
selfish
selfish act. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll give you an example. Like, my mom doesn't like to, but she pulls weeds every time she comes over, right? Now, I know she's doing that for me because my yard is a mess and the weeds need to be pulled, and obviously I haven't pulled them. So she kind of does it. And we used to joke, we'd be like, oh gosh, mom sure loves pulling weeds. I asked her, she's like, no, I don't like doing it. It's like, but I call a little bit on that. I say, well, but there must be something in it for you. Humans don't act that way. So like, if it's helping me, and it's lightening my burden and my yard looks better, that makes you feel good that that's
Right, I
happening for me. That's where I'm going with
Yeah, I
that.
get it. Yeah. Like a byproduct. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I get it.
But there are some things that are like, to me, I think selfish acts are, first of all, I think they're in this way of doing it, I think they're totally fine. Where I draw the line is a selfish act that negatively impacts somebody else, right? If my selfishness harms you or
right,
does something anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Number 9, I put aim to be childlike.
Yes.
I haven't finished. I always like to joke that I'm forever young because I'm immature. Almost all kids are happy most of the time, even if they're ill or poor. Why is that? Because they have so little responsibility and so many things are new. So why not try something new, especially if you've always been curious about it? You like number 9?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I moving on?
Yep.
Okay. Number 10, I put get at least 30 minutes of exercise in a day, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes is huge. Counting the steps you already take on your Fitbit does not count. You'll be amazed at what a walk, hike, bike ride, or any other exercise can do. I submit that 30 minutes of yoga is the best thing a person can do for themselves physically and mentally. I stubbornly resisted for years, but I am glad I finally tried it, yet I still don't do it nearly enough. And being terrible at it helps me. I have to be present or I'll fall over.
Good. Yeah, I like it.
Okay? Would you say 30 minutes is the minimum somebody needs in a day, or what's a 10 minutes, an hour?
10,
10 minutes?
5. It just depends on the day. So I feel like it's a 5-minute walk can be helpful.
Okay.
And so I feel like, if 30 is what I need to reach to make it like check the box, and there's a day that won't happen. If I get 5 minutes and I can check the box and feel accomplished and successful, I think that is smart.
Yeah. That's true. I know sometimes like when I don't want to go to like the gym or whatever, and I'm like, but it's like my day to go. Sometimes I'll like phone it in, I just won't go. But other times, like once I go and I get there, I'm like, I'm even more proud of myself because I'm like, I stepped up in a time when it was tougher. Anyway.
I also believe in a rest day though.
Oh, for sure.
At least one
Or
rest
at least
day.
one.
So that says every day, 30 minutes every day. So I'd be more like
maybe need to fix
3
that
to
one.
5 times a week.
Yeah, need to add some rest days. I agree. That needs to be amended for sure. Okay, number 11. I put when in doubt, go outside.
Okay.
You can knock out the exercise portion too. Being outside, especially around any kind of nature, satisfies some primal part of us that just makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 12, I put experiences last longer than things. When you reminisce with friends, it will not be about what you did. It'll be more about what you did and where you've been, not possessions. I think personally minimalism is the way to go. The more things you own, the more you are owned by those things. As an example, if you own a second home, you now have another mortgage, water heater, insurance, etc. to worry about. So I put limit what you're responsible and liable for. Then I have a little quote in here from Bill Gates. He goes, I can understand wanting to have millions of dollars. There's a certain freedom, meaningful freedom that comes with that. But once you get much beyond that, I have to tell you, it's the same hamburger. And I love that little quote by him.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on experiences
No.
last longer than things? No?
Well, I think things can give experiences. So
Okay.
as you were saying
Oh,
it,
I
and,
see.
and you know this about me, one of my most favorite cars was a bright canary yellow BMW convertible manual. And every day I owned that, I loved it. And it was a thing that gave me an experience. But I couldn't have had the experience without the thing. And even seeing it in the parking lot as I was walking towards it, the color of it lit me up. Driving a manual lit me up. And yeah, and so no, I
Disagree.
disagree hard. And my cats and my dogs, and yeah, no, I could go on and on of things that are giving me experiences that I couldn't have otherwise. So no.
Right, it could be some pendant or some
Yeah.
some
Body
whatever.
wash that smells really good. I mean, there's so many. It just goes on
Mm.
and on that it's like,
Okay.
so
So, disagree.
I mean, the experience lasts longer in that my car is gone and my memory of it, but lasts longer. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I did use the hamburger line with Bill Gates, right? Oh, you're still not buying. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 13, I put instead of pursuing happiness, try pursuing something that's fun. Fun is more tangible and it leads to happiness. What do you think about that?
No.
No. Good. We're getting good now. Good. We're going to correct this whole list by the end of this.
Contentment and joy feel more important than happiness.
Mm.
So it feels like a level of gratitude, appreciation, presence that that can include fun and happy, and that can also include grief and loss. But that feels preferable to me.
All right.
And sometimes
That's solid.
and I also, sitting and crying can be really cathartic and really helpful, and so it's like I don't always need to pursue happiness anyway. I don't always need to feel happy. It's not like it's
Interesting.
it's like it's not the optimal state.
When I
And
usually say that, I'm like,
and-
crying, roller coaster. Crying,
yeah.
roller coaster. I'm just kidding.
Hilarious. Well, and I'll tell you something I'm actively working on too is like managing more my highs and lows. And so when something positive happens, instead of like getting super excited and talking about it and like going like, oh, this is amazing, and like really letting myself get elevated like a 10 out of 10 of positivity, because the opposite of it is a 10 out of 10 negativity. And so it's like, if I go, okay, this is a really great experience, I feel really grateful for this, I see the benefit in it, but I stay more like at a 7, then if and when it turns around or it falls out or it changes, I'm not dropping to this basement level of depression.
Yeah, the delta's not as huge.
Right. I'm at a 4 because I didn't let it kick me up so high. So I'm like literally practicing it and creating like some part of business right now that I'm working on that I used to be like, yes. And then I was like, oh, like don't do that. And don't go report every bad thing to my boyfriend. Like just let it be. Like I don't have to.
I know, I'm agreeing with you. And in
So,
fact,
yeah.
I think that's where you have a lot of, dare I say, substance abuse problems. Is, because like as an example, let's say in life one is the worst you could possibly feel. It's borderline suicide. It's suicidal. And 10 is the best you could possibly feel, right? I've talked with people that have taken drugs and things like that, and they'll report seeing a 15 that they didn't even know was possible, right? Well, now the delta from a 15 all the way down here is gigantic, right? The best they can expect in a normal life is a 10, the best, but they've seen a 15. They know what a 15 looks like and feels like, right? So that delta you're talking about, you can see why it would be very difficult and challenging to come off of certain, addictions.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, number 14, kindness is key. Compassion isn't always easy, but usually yields the best results. And then I have a quote from the Dalai Lama, which says, only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we seek. What say you about 14, kindness is key?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Whew, I'm back in the good lane. Okay, good. All right. 15, I put, even for introverts, people matter. So be sure you've got a couple people you've invested in, and that means you making an effort to be a good friend, which is a reward in itself. One can truly never know what kind of a difference they are making in another's life and the world.
Why does it start with
Even for
even for
introverts.
introverts? What is
Well,
that?
because in general, I think there's this stigma that, you know, introverts don't have a lot of friends, and I know some introverted friends of mine that really I might be their only friend, or they might have two friends. So I guess maybe that's not the right word to use as introvert, but I guess people that, you know, I'm picturing the person that, you know, stays home all the time, never goes out, always orders in, only plays video games. You know what I mean? I think people matter for everybody.
And when you say
I think
people,
we're social beings, is what I'm saying.
yeah, and so when you say people, you mean relationships.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Oh, this is an interesting one. I'd love to get your take on this one. Okay. On the existential side, on the one hand, compared to the universe, we're infinitesimal. We're like a, whatever, not even a flea in all the beaches of
okay.
the sand, or all the sand on the beaches. But on the other hand, our chance of being is improbably miraculous. I choose to think that because I am lucky enough to exist, then I'm obligated to live a decent life and try to make things a little better. That's what I put.
Okay.
I don't know what that means exactly. But I just wrote it. So, yeah. Any
Okay.
thoughts there?
Yeah, I would change obligated to inspired.
Oh, change it to I am inspired to.
Yeah, obligated feels so
Obligating?
like otherwise I'm like, what do people do out of obligation? It's not from abundance and love and goodness. Obligation is like, oh well, I don't wanna, but I guess I will. I'm obligated to go do this, and so
I guess that's a good. I love that. That is a good point. The only reason why I would say maybe obligated still could work would be,
it doesn't work.
well, is where I was thinking is for maybe people that are having you know, a tough time with self-esteem or their place or feeling like they matter. You know, I'm sort of trying to make the point that, like, hey, you're lucky enough to be here. Like, you matter. You know, you have an obligation to be a part of this world. No, don't like it. Okay.
Inspired. Like, it's
Okay.
incredible that you exist. Go experience it. Go share it. Like, I don't know. I'm not
No.
digging the word obligation.
I got it. No, I like it.
feels-
I like it. I was just thinking for
Yeah.
those that are not inspired. I still think they have an obligation. They're here.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that on
Okay.
anybody.
Well, I did. I might have to change it though, because now that you're talking about it, I don't know. Okay, number 17. Gratitude. I put, have you ever played a sport for a long time and then someone brings you some ice cold water? Oh, it's like the best. But yet we drink clean cold water every day without any appreciation. I put, we have so many gifts, but they are overlooked. Imagine if you lost your hearing, just how happy you'd be to hear again. So grateful for all the things. So be grateful for all the things you do have, including being able to read and digest this post. Wow, that's one thing. So yeah, there you go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do it I do it frequently, so I'm a 1000% yes on that.
Great. Okay, very good. I like that one too. I got to work on it, but I like it. I have some work to do on that. Okay. Number 18 of 20, I put acceptance.
Oh,
sorry.
let me
go ahead.
share this. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
good.
don't know if it's gratitude, but it kind of feels like it fits into this. One of my a delightful thought is, I saw someone's T-shirt and it said, "Nothing is given, everything is earned."
Mm-hmm.
And I right away thought, nope, it's not true. And then I thought,
I agree with you.
I never have to wake up in the morning, ever, and wonder where I'm going to get my oxygen,
Yeah.
how I'm going to get it into my body, how it's going to get into my cells, where I'm going to get gravity, and how I'm going to get sunshine. There's just this long list. And it's fun to be grateful for that, to just wake up and be like, man, I'm on divine life support every day. Grateful for that.
Could not agree with you
Yeah,
more.
so-
I totally agree with you more.
Yeah.
In fact, an example I would use coming from the business world is like, you know, I hear it all, you know, entrepreneurs really, especially if they get successful, can get quite full of themselves. You know, I did this, I did this, all on my own. And very oftentimes, you know, they did do 100 hours a week, 100-hour
Right.
work week for 5 years and, you know, slept on the floor of the office and
Right.
all these things. At the same time, they drove there on freeways that somebody else
Right.
built. They're
Right.
using fiber optic lines
Right.
for the internet that were already, you know what I mean? So it's like
It's
nobody
never
does it on
alone.
their
You
own.
can't. Right.
And there's a lot of things that are
Yeah.
given to you. So I agree with you. Okay. Number 18, we're almost done. I put acceptance to a point. Let me see. Oh, this is a Bruce Lee quote. Be like water making its way through the cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find your way around or through it. You must be shapeless, formless, like water. When you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Bruce Lee. And then I add one more that I put in there. I put, may I have the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference by Reinhold Niebuhr. I don't know how to say his last name. What do you think about acceptance? Or those quotes? Any of that?
Yes, to all of that. I agree with all that.
Great. Okay. Number 19, this is a great quote from Jim Carrey that I love. It's about living in the moment. It says, if you aren't in the moment, you are either looking forward to uncertainty or back to pain and regret. You don't like that one? No, because you could be looking back to stuff that's fun.
Yeah.
Not everything's pain
or
and regret.
forward to something that you
Already know.
aspire to achieve or would like to enjoy, like envisioning or visualization, or like, so I think that can be,
You're
I think
right.
it's a fun part of our imagination is such a fun, interesting part of our existence that we can create a scene in our heads that like even would be, let's say, impossible, but we can still do it in our brains. That's so cool.
I think I agree with you on this, that this needs to be modified because I think it's way too simplistic. The way that when I first read it, why I liked it was I was like, what comes to my mind when you were saying that is I was thinking like, let's say I'm a famous actor or whatever, and I know for a fact I'm winning the Emmy tomorrow.
Okay.
I get to go up on stage and take my Emmy. Like, obviously I'm looking forward to that. Now he's making the point that like, yeah, but you could get hit by a bus and never even see that day, so enjoy the
True.
moment you're in now.
Yes.
I think you have to play the probabilities. The probability that I'm going to get hit by a bus is very small. Therefore, it's okay to be looking forward to tomorrow. Right?
Yeah, I think it's how you're using it, how you're using being present or not, and how long you're spending time not in the present moment. So I just go, oh, if I want to reflect on something and time that I've had with people or pets in the past that I really like that makes me feel warm and fuzzy to do it. Or I'm using my past to inform a future decision that's going to have me make a better decision. It's like skillfully using going into the past, skillfully using going into the future, but mostly present moment.
Well, I still love him in Dumb and Dumber, so.
I love Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Okay, last one. We
Okay.
finally made it to number 20. I put smile, ! Laugh, ! Force it if you have to. This whole life thing is pretty absurd when you think about it. So make sure to find the time to laugh. Movies, comedy clubs, sitcoms, sharing memories. You're likely doing just fine, as well as everyone else. And to that end, I highly recommend watching Tom
love
Papa's
Tom
You're
Pa.
Doing Great.
I love
And that
him.
is one of the best stand-ups of all time. So anyways, do you have any thoughts on that?
We accidentally saw Tom Papa live, so I go to comedy clubs here and there now and
Yeah.
then and just, I don't know, this guy's playing, and so I got to see him live. He's very funny.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Very good.
But yeah, I think that's important. TikTok is one of my main sources of laughter. People are brilliant, creative, clever, moving. It's so inspiring.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for helping me amend my top 20. It has some work to be
Okay.
done. All right. Thank
All
you.
right, bye.